Okay, so here we've got a fairly straightforward probability question. The probability that Fred passes his driving test on the first attempt is 0.4. The probability that he's passed after 2 attempts is 0.58. What's the probability that he passes on the second attempt? Way I'd approach this, tree diagram. So let's draw a little tree diagram to see what happens. So this is the first go. The first go, he can either pass or he can fail. So we'll put P for pass, F for fail, and we know the probability that he passes is 0.4. So the probability that he fails has to be 0.6. Now obviously if he passes on the first go, he stops there. He doesn't retake his driving test, he stops there. But if he fails on his first attempt, he then retakes the test. And again, he can either pass or he can fail. But what we don't know this time is the probability of each of these. We don't know what the probability of passing or the probability of failing is. This is a conditional probability. The probability is changed based on his first go. So how are we going to solve this problem? Well, let's think. What we do know is that he has passed the test. So if he passes the test, he could either be there or he could be here. And so what we know is the probability that he's in either of those places is 0.4, or he could be here, and that's a key word, or, because he could be there, so it's plus the probability of arriving here, and we'll call that x. Plus x has to equal 0.58. Sorry, just running out of space there. So therefore we can fairly easily say that x must be equal to 0.18. The probability of arriving at this point here is 0.18. How do we find the probability of arriving at this point here? Well, to find the probability of getting any end of any branch is the probability of going down that branch and then down that branch. We have to go down there and then down there, and we end up here. And to calculate that probability of x is the probability of that times by the probability of that, because we've got to go down there and down there. So what we now know is that, let's call that little question mark because we don't know what the probability of that is. So what we now know is that 0.6 times our question mark equals x. And we already worked out that x is 0.18. So therefore, we can say the probability of the question mark, the probability of going down this branch here, has to be 0.3. So the probability that he passes it on his second attempt is 0.3, and that's our final answer. So in actual fact, if he fails the first time, he's less likely to pass the second time than he would do the first time. Practice nerves or whatever, who knows. But that's conditional probability. Really quick video to explain that question. Hope it helped. Bye.